Okay, my screen is visible. Okay. Jean Rice was one of the most famous British novelists who born in Caribbean island, Dominica. Jean Rice, originally named Elena Gwendolen Reese Williams. Uh, she was the best Indian novelist who earned acclaim for her early work set in the Bohemia, Bohemian world of Europe in the 1920s and 30s, but who stopped writing for nearly 3 decades until she wrote a successful novel set in the West Indies. The White Sargasso Sea is written by Jean Rice. The novel was published in 1966. The novel written with a special purpose as to describe the earlier life of Bertha Mason of Jane Eyre, and whose original name is Antoinette. It shows her life from the very beginning of her life, how she is married to Rochester and how Psyche gets worse and worse. The entire process is described here, and the reason responsible uh, for that are also described at length. Race and gender issues in White Sargasso Sea. Chandra is mainly focused on the uh, um, race and gender issues, identity, and the miserable woman character in her novel. So the race and gender issues. Antoinette was a Creole girl, and Rochester was an English white man. So there is a clearly a difference between them in the term of race and gender issues. She reflects on her heroine. Like Rice, Anthony is a sensitive and lonely young Creole girl who grows up with neither her mother's love or nor her peers' companionship. Antony's passion contributes to her melancholy and implied madness. Her arranged marriage to an unsympathetic and controlling English gentleman worsens her condition and pushes her to fits of violence. Eventually, her husband brings her to England and locks her in his attic, assigning a servant woman to watch over her. Antoinette as a miserable woman character. So Rice openly wrote about the woman in various stage of their lives, living hand to mouth in London or Paris. The women are always on the economic ads, needing money, receiving cash and clothes from men, drinking, sitting in cabs, and endlessly walking. We can say that women are always dependent on men. Whatever she wants to get, we are always dependent on our fathers or our husband or brother for get money. The books are very spare, bare, unsentimental, and wonderful here. In this novel, on outside narration, no other point of view interpret Jane's vision, and Antoinette seems to offer a model of progress for all women. Narration in White Sargasso Sea. Narration in White Sargasso Sea is divided between the Creole woman Antoinette and the Englishman Rochester. But Rice seems carefully to include voice other than the two central narrators, which helps offer insight into the narrator's often partial vision. Rice's unsure self-identity reflects in Antoinette. Antoinette. Rice here describes her heroine with the unsure identity, as she also is suffering from his unsure identity. Once in interview, the reporter asked her some question about her identity. Their conversation was like this. The reporter asked that, "Do you consider yourself a West Indian?" And Antony, answering her, uh, she hesitated and answer him. It was such a long time ago when I left. Reporter again asked her, "So you don't think of yourself as a West Indian writer?" Again she nodded, but said nothing. The reporter asked again, "What about English? Do you consider yourself an English writer?" She was very angry and she said that, "No, I'm not even English." She shouts on him. Rochester as a new type of colonizer. Yes, we can see here that Rochester as a colonizer. Um, uh, the British people rules on Britisher rules on people. That's called a colonizer, and the people who are uh, rules under the rules of Britisher, it's called colonized. So the Rochester as a new type of colonizer. We all know that the British had colonized many countries, and the Caribbean is one of them. But here, the character of Rochester is shown as a different and a new type of colonizer who had colonized a Creole Antoinette. So here we find oppressor who neither respect Creoles nor the black ones. So Rochester dominated identity is reflected in Antoinette's capture and his domination over her. By the end of the part 2 of the novel, where he is living Caribbean and go to England with Antoinette, he utters say that, "I hated the mountain and the hills, the river and the rain, and she had left me thirsty." So here, through this line, we can find that he does not love the Caribbean people and their lifestyle, and therefore he is willing to go to England and to satisfy the thirst that he had. Is Rochester responsible for the Antonius madness? So yes, we can say that Rochester is responsible for the madness of Antonius, because he is a husband and he has not, if he has take a little care of her, that he has not she is not become madness. Many critics believe that Antony's husband Rochester is responsible for Antoniette's madness. Rochester is the nameless creator, and as a white man, his authority and freedom allow him to present identity to others. For instance, he decided to rename his wife and calling him Bertha. So Bertha doesn't like the name. Antoinette doesn't like the name of Bertha, but here Rochester called him Bertha in an attempt to distance her from her crazy mother, who full name was Antoinette. He continued to fragmentate her identity. He creates the new name of Marionetta, a cruel joke that reflects Antoinette's dull-like flexibility. Antoinette feels herself insulting. He ultimately refashions Antoinette into a wild, mad woman and treats her as a ghost. By refusing his companion and her local tradition, he overstressed his own English rules over the Caribbean land and citizen. Thus, it is clear that Rochester is one who caused the madness of Antoinette. So, it is debated that Antoinette is insane prior to her marriage with Rochester, and it is not Rochester who has caused the madness. But here we would like to argue that even though Antoinette is a bit of a lot personality, she would not have become totally mad if her husband could have take a bit care of her. Thus, it is clear that Rochester is the one who caused the madness of Antony. So here the work citation. Thank you. If you have any question, then ask.
Yes, Pina.
Yes, questions to her.
Yes, Pina. My question is, you can find any gender nomination?
Yes. In the novel, we can see that women are dependent on men. But now this day we can say that the women are working outside, and they are dependent on self. They no need to asking money from his father or brother, husband. They are themselves independence, and they work hard and got everything, so they are not under the man.
Pina, my question is, how can you say that Antoinette is suffering from cruel
Yes, uh, Antoinette is suffering from Creole identity. Creole, a person of mixed European and Black descent, especially in the Caribbean, a mother tongue from the content of two languages through an earlier stage. So Antoine is suffering from Creole identity because she was suffering two identity. She is a black, and she was married as a white Englishman. And when the reporter asked her identity, then she was feel insulting. So we can say, and Rochester also. Uh, Rochester also used insulting words for him, and he also locked her in a room. So here she is suffering from Creole identity. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I will give feedback from here. Yes, you can keep on watching on the screen. Those who are present here, okay, online will obviously watch the screen. Mm, paper, post-colonial studies, and to work or some trouble here. Let me check what is the problem. Network poor, and CPU usage also is going very high because I have opened several windows. Okay, okay, fine. There'll be a slight problem in my audio, perhaps to the online students. Okay, so in this paper, you're studying two texts. That is, one is Foe by J.M. Coetzee and Jean Rees. Jean Rees is Wide Sargasso Sea. And both the texts are in a way retellings. They are retellings of some other classical literary text. So without that classical literary text, this understanding is incomplete. Most